Hello everyone! Sejam muito bem-vindos ao meu canal. Eu sou a Jackie e hoje eu tenho uma convidada, Camille. Ela também é americana, professora de inglês e eu vou entrevistar ela. Eu vou fazer algumas perguntas para ela 100% em inglês, então seria uma ótima oportunidade para você treinar seu listening e para você responder essas perguntas também. Você pode imaginar que eu estou entrevistando você. Então, se quiser pegar a lista de perguntas, eu vou colocar tudo isso num PDF e postar no meu grupo de Telegram. O link está na descrição, é totalmente gratuito para você entrar. Esse vídeo também tem legendas em inglês e em português, se você precisar. E espero que você goste da entrevista. Alright? Bye!
So, Camille, I'm just going to ask you some quick interview style questions. So, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. So, the first question is, Camille, where are you originally from?
I am originally from Michigan in the United States.
A Midwesterner. Nice.
Yes, a Youper.
Oh, the UP.
Yes.
I was in the UP, Upper Peninsula, Michigan, last week skiing.
No way.
Yeah.
I learned how to ski there. I grew up skiing and snowmobiling and doing all the fun winter sports.
Fun. Yeah, we were in Iron Mountain. We went to Ski Brule.
Very nice. Did you like it?
Oh, I love it. We go there almost every year to ski with the kids.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So fun. All right. And the second question is, where do you live now?
I live in Viana do Castelo, Portugal. It's in northern Portugal, close to the border of Spain.
Ah, beautiful. So I know you and your family, you guys love to travel, and you guys have traveled to many different countries, many different places. How many different countries have you and your family lived in so far?
When you say lived in, how much time does that mean?
Oh, that's a good question, because I do see people sometimes saying like, we're moving to wherever, and it's really just like a 2-week vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's not really a move. I would say living would be at least 3 to 4 months. What would you say?
Yeah. Okay. If it's 3 to 4 months, most of our places that we stay in are 3 months because that's how long the tourist visa allows for. So with my family, there's 5 of us, and we have lived in Brazil, Peru, Hawaii, Albania, Turkey, Portugal, Spain. I might be forgetting some.
Yeah. And since most of the people who watch my videos are from Brazil, what part of Brazil did you guys live in?
So we went to Sao Paulo and Ubatuba area. And then we also spent time in Minas Gerais and Goiânia.
Goiânia.
Yeah.
I love it. Nice.
So those 3 areas.
Great. And do you have a favorite place that you guys have spent time in or that you guys have lived?
I forgot to say Italy. Yeah, and Italy is one of our top places. We love Italy so much.
Yeah, in Italy, a lot of people say Italy, which is probably similar to the true pronunciation, but in English it's that Italy. Italy.
Yes, Italy.
Right.
Italy is an incredible country.
Yeah. So is there a place that is like your favorite? I'm sure they're all so different, but was there any reason you guys chose Portugal where you guys are now? Did it stand out or?
Yeah, so my family traveling a lot. So we would do these trips where we would be gone for anywhere from 7 to 9 months with our children. I would homeschool them and we would work online. And we wanted to just experience different cultures and practice speaking languages and learn, really. And so we chose Portugal because we got tired of traveling and we wanted to settle down for a while. And we could stay here in Portugal without having to go back to America. We could get our residency while living here. And then we also were able to become part of their tax program. We applied for this tax program with benefits. Both of us, my husband and I, speak Portuguese. And it's also a really beautiful country. We live right on the ocean. I can look out my window and see the ocean. And so it's just a beautiful, wonderful place. And we love being close to Spain as well. So there are many advantages to living here in Portugal.
Oh, sounds amazing. And I think the culture of homeschooling is probably a bit different for some other people. And even in the US, there is a bit of like this resurgence of people wanting to homeschool their kids, and people are moving all over the world. And it's a way that you can school, your kids can have schooling regardless of where they live. Are you still homeschooling, or now that your kids are a little bit older, do they go to a Portuguese school?
They just started going to school this year. So, well, I guess 2024. And so they're slowly learning Portuguese. All of their teachers speak Portuguese. And I'm learning, or I speak like wrong Portuguese according to them, since they're learning Portuguese from Portugal. So my accent is different. I have a hard time changing my accent. My husband makes an effort, but I kind of stick with Brazilian Portuguese because that's what I learned and love. And it feels easier for me as well.
Yeah, I could relate to that. I think what you initially learn, it's a little bit harder to veer from that. However, I do have some American friends that lived in Brazil for a period of time. Now they live in Portugal, and I do hear the Portuguese accent coming out little by little.
Yeah. Oh no.
It rubs off on them. And I think the same thing would probably happen. Like, we both obviously have American accents in English.
Yes.
But if we lived like in the UK for a long period of time, we probably would start picking up certain things.
Yeah.
Not entirely losing our American accent, but maybe it would just become a little bit mixed.
Yeah. I mean, even here, they say bon dia. And so I started saying bon dia because that's like the simplest thing you say instead of bon dia.
Yeah.
Bon dia. Yeah. So that is like one thing that I do say.
Yes. Get the dia rather than the gia.
Yes.
Oh, that's so great. And what would you say are the pros and cons of living in a foreign country? Why did you guys choose this lifestyle for your family?
So let me start with the cons, because there's less. I think it would be missing our family and not being close to our family. That would be the biggest con. And then, of course, just the way of life is so different. So what we're used to in the US, it's not the same rhythm here in Portugal. Or if I just want to do things that would be so easy in the US, they're very complicated for me here in Portugal, like to go to the doctors or to try to get a residency visa, just all of these things, because our Portuguese isn't like a native, especially here with Portuguese. So that is something that I would say would be a con. But there's a pro to that. We learn. Right. So I think that is the biggest pro of being here in Portugal, is being open to a new way of life. They're more relaxed here. We don't work as much. We have a higher quality of life. And we're just immersed in a world that's not our own, which is really fun. And we're seeing our kids learn Portuguese. It's always been a dream of ours to have a European passport and to have our kids grow up learning a second language. And so it's coming true here now.
Yeah. And that's good that you and your husband are both aligned on that. I think it would be really challenging if one person wanted that and the other one didn't.
Absolutely. So I feel like we're so blessed in that sense, because if I wanted to be in the US and he wanted to be here, it would be a struggle. It would be a huge struggle.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's something I've noticed even living in Brazil with other foreigners that came there. It really has to be your choice, because like you said, or even people coming to the United States, when it wasn't your choice, when it was something forced on you, there tends to be more resistance and more frustration with the everyday things. There's that added layer of difficulty to everything because of the language barrier. And when you didn't choose it and you didn't want it, it's like, it's even more frustrating.
Yeah.
So I think just knowing that it's more difficult, but also liking that it's more difficult is really the solution to just accepting it and enjoying the process and realizing that, it is harder to go to the doctor. It's harder to do everything in a different language, but that's also where the growth comes. That's why I'm here and I'm learning. So I love that for you guys.
Thank you.
Do you think you guys are going to stay in Portugal long term, or what are your plans?
Depends. It depends on what long term is. For us, it's long term because we envision ourselves here for the next 5 to 10 years, maybe longer. I don't know. So for us, that's long term because we've never lived in a place for more than 2 years. And we're already here almost a year and a half, I think.
Wow.
So time is flying. And I think with our bigger goals in mind of we really want the kids to speak Portuguese fluently. We want to have passports. Like we want to be here. We're not just like, oh, we got to be here. Like we really want to be here, put roots down, immerse, and live our life here.
Yeah. And how old are your children now?
They are 6, 8, and 10.
Okay. And those are ages where you could move and it would be okay, but it's especially for the 10-year-old, I think they want most likely, I would assume, to kind of stay in one place and to create their group of friends and put down roots. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I asked my 10-year-old, like, do you want to move? Do you want to go back to the US? And he prefers it here as well, which is, it makes it better. It's like confirmation that we're in the right place.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so I think this is already clear, but you are married, right?
I am married, yes.
And how long have you and your husband been married?
We have been married for more than 20 years.
Wow. So you guys got married young, I'm assuming, because you do not look old.
Yes, I was 18, almost 19, and he was 20. So I'm 39 now, and he's going to be 41.
Okay, so you guys started young. That's great.
Very young.
Yeah.
Very young.
Oh, that's so cool. And how many languages do you speak? And at what level would you say you speak each language?
Okay, so I speak Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, and Turkish. And of course, English is my native language. I would say that I have a B2 level. I've never taken a test, but I feel comfortable in all of the Latin languages that I learned. We lived in Spain for a couple of years. We traveled around and used our Portuguese a lot. And Turkish, I would say, is between an A2 and a B1. It's my goal for this new year is to get to a solid B1 level.
Okay. And have you always been interested in learning languages, or is this something that came about through your desire to travel?
I started learning my first foreign language, which was Spanish, when I was 27 years old. So it was not something that was even on my radar. Growing up, I never thought I would learn a foreign language. I wasn't interested in it. But when we were in Hawaii, when we were living in Hawaii in 2017, my husband was like, we're kind of spending a lot of our evenings just watching Netflix. Why don't we do a 3-month language challenge? And so he chose Portuguese and I chose Italian. And we both just studied every night for 3 months. And then that is where I became addicted is almost the word, because I haven't stopped studying since 2017. Pretty much every day I've studied a new language or studied the language I'm learning. I always learn to a B2 level before I go on to a new language, just so it's in my mind and harder to forget. But I have this huge passion, I guess is the word, for language learning.
Oh, that's such a cool idea. And I love that your husband noticed, like, we're spending a lot of time watching Netflix. What else could we do?
Yes.
during this time. And you guys
Exactly.
did it together, but not together because you were learning separate, in different
Yeah.
languages.
Yeah.
And, when you were studying for these, 2 or 3 hours a night, what did that look like? Like, how did you break up the time? How did you decide how to study and what to study? And when was this? Because you said this was probably when you were like 27.
This was in 2017. This was in 2017.
Okay.
And so we had 2 small kids. So we would put our kids to sleep. And then I was doing Pimsleur, listening to Pimsleur Italian. I did all the 5 levels of that. And then I was just writing things in my notebook and watching beginner YouTube videos. And then I bought Italian Demystified. And I I did that whole grammar book in 3 months. So it was like over my head and like hard, but I just was so interested in Italian. Yeah. And then when I found out there was an Italian that owned a coffee shop, I would go there every week and try to speak to her in my very broken Italian because I had only been studying it for like a month when I met her.
But that's it. Like, I love the way you brought it because you actually studied. You learned the grammar, the phonetics, the rules, how to structure the sentences, how to structure questions, how to create affirmative and negative sentences. So there is that studying component. You also had a lot of input. You listened to a lot of the language. You practice output by writing and by speaking. And I think that's it. Like, that's the formula. There's really no magic pill other than, you have to study, you have to learn, but then you also have to just immerse yourself and practice it as much as possible. And you seem to just grasp that right away. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I think once you know how to learn a language, you can more effectively learn a language. Yes. So if you've never learned a foreign language, the first one, it's really hard. Learning Spanish was so hard because it's a whole new system. And I would try to translate in my head and try to make it make sense. And you just have to let it go and be like, English is not Spanish. They have a whole new system. Right. And once you can accept that and then just go by their system, let yours go, you'll be a more effective language learner as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's like that accept.
Yes.
Why is it like this? Why is it not the same as my native language? It's sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And we just have to accept it. Wonderful.
Exactly.
And what type of work do you do? How, as people say, what's your job? What do you do? How do you answer?
So I tell them I'm a content creator and I write books. So my husband's like, you should show your books. So they're probably backwards, but I've written 9 books. So short stories, dialogues, travel stories, conversations. And so I create resources to help people with all levels advance in their English learning.
And are the books entirely in English?
They are entirely in English. My travel one, I do have it translated in like 6 languages. So you can read all the stories. I think it's in Portuguese, Spanish, Turkish. It's in all the languages I speak.
Oh, that's so cool. And do you sell the books like on Amazon or do you have your own site? Where do you sell them?
I sell them on my website if you want a PDF, and then I sell them on Amazon as well. And something unique to my books is that I sell them with the audio. So I read all the stories, I read all the dialogues. There's my best-selling book. I have read this with over 25 native English speakers. So you hear 25 different accents, and you're hearing these real-life English conversations between real natives. So I think that's why it sells so well because it's real life.
Yeah. No, and I think the reading and listening at the same time is so powerful.
Yes, especially in English where pronunciation is so hard.
Right. Because then you're looking at the word and you're hearing it. You're like, wow, I would have said it in a completely different way.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. And do you self-publish?
We do. My husband,
good for you
he
guys.
self-publishes for me. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so what would be like a typical day like? Because I know you have 3 kids. I'm imagining how do you
Yes.
find the time to create all this content, to write all these books, to learn all these languages, you were homeschooling your children.
I know.
Take
I
me
know.
through a typical day.
Well, it changes because when we're traveling, it looks so different than being here settled. So now that we're here settled, I usually wake up around 6:30 every day, and I always have a quiet time with coffee and reading. And then my kids wake up, and then we start getting them ready for school. You know, I make them breakfast. They can get dressed and brush their teeth and do all of that on their own now. And then one of our sons goes to school at 8:30. The other 2 go at 9. So I'll take one, and my husband will take the others. And then we have from 9 until 4. And then at 4, I go to pick up my little kids and they come home. And we, even though we're in Portugal, we still eat an early dinner. So
Okay.
we usually eat around 5:30. And then, yeah, the day, it just comes to an end so quickly. So during that time, it goes by quickly, the 9 to 4 time. Working out is really important to me. So I always work out every morning as well. And then it depends. Some weeks I honestly don't spend much time on my work and I'll be focused more on languages. Other weeks I'll be spending, 5 hours a day if I'm trying to get a book out or trying to finish a book. So it just depends. That's the thing I like about working for myself. I can create my own day and I like to be productive. I don't like to feel like I'm just wasting my time. So I think productivity is good, but I've also learned that rest is important and that I don't have to be highly productive. I used to be just too productive, honestly. Like I would feel guilty spending 30 minutes doing something that wasn't productive, just sitting,
I think that's like an American culture thing as well. Yeah.
Yes.
That's so cool. And do you guys both come from families of entrepreneurs as well?
Yes. Pretty much everyone on both sides of our family has their own business, runs their own things. So it's something that we just sort of a culture that we grew up in. We would have a hard time not being entrepreneurs. It's part of our identity, I think, part of how we're created.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that you like to work out every day. Is there a specific workout that you do or?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm doing this growing with Anna. She's a girl on YouTube from Germany, and she's doing a 21-day challenge. So every day is something different. And it's like working your upper body, then working your lower, then doing a HIIT workout and working your abs. So I'm doing that challenge. So I like to do that sort of thing. And then I like to jog. And then I bike. If the weather's nice, I go biking once a week with my son. It's really fun. And then I do yoga as well. And then I try to climb. There's like 700 stairs right next to our house. And so I climb those once a week too.
Oh, good.
So I like to vary it up and do a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. It's like a mix of following YouTube videos plus running outside and working out outside in nature.
Yeah.
That's great. Excellent. Speaking of languages again, what do you think has helped you the most? Like if you could go back and look at your journey, things that you did that maybe weren't very helpful and things that were, what would you say has been the most helpful and the least helpful?
Yeah. The most helpful has been just speaking and not being afraid of making mistakes. I've lost count of the million mistakes I've made in the combined languages I've studied. So I think that's the biggest thing is not being afraid to speak, just speaking while making mistakes. It's very humbling. Like I'm so humbled by language learning because I was so proud yesterday. I had an online Turkish lesson. We were doing grammar and I'm reading Turkish, the story, and then I'm translating it into English. And I was just like, I got it. And then I completely didn't get it. Like I thought I knew it, right. And I was wrong. And I was like, oh, this is so humbling. But still, just to keep stepping out and trying, I think that has been useful because that's how I've learned.
Yeah.
So, yes. And then maybe maybe not useful is spending too much time chatting. And then it's like the same conversations I'll have so that I'm not growing. Like I think reading, for example, or taking a lot of input through listening can be more important than just chatting.
Yes. And I would agree, because I think chatting or talking about what's comfortable and easy for you to talk about, it makes you feel good at the moment.
Yeah.
But it doesn't push you. It doesn't challenge you.
Yeah.
And when, we have to always keep pushing and making mistakes and realizing I was wrong here. What a gift. Thank you. That's something I learned. But it's hard because it's really comfortable and we feel really good when we're in our comfort zones.
Yes.
But we have to push out of that. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And since you've started this like online digital career, what have been some of the biggest challenges, and also what have been some of the biggest like blessings or surprises that you didn't expect?
Good. So maybe the challenges with traveling, we don't always have good internet. So I still do go live a lot. And if the internet isn't good, then you can't go live. Or I used to do lessons one-on-one, same thing. I'd be like, I'm so sorry. I'm in Slovenia in a terrible Airbnb. I don't have service to do our lesson today. I can't meet with you. So that was a challenge, the moving around. And then also always having to set up your stuff, to record YouTube videos. Like we would have it in a suitcase and then we'd have to find a place and you just have to set it all up every time. It's tiring. Yes. And we do it here at home, but we feel like it's easier because it's more organized. And so let me think, what else is a challenge? Sometimes not being motivated because you work for yourself. I don't have to work in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like pushing yourself even when you don't necessarily have to. Sometimes your motivation is low. So that's something that can be a challenge. The benefits are just the open doors that I've had to meet people like you, Jackie.
Yeah.
And just meeting with people that I never would have met with if I wasn't in this field of work. And then also just receiving messages every day from people saying like, thank you so much for teaching English. Like I've learned so much with you. You're helping me grow. I love your books. I love your course. I love this and that. That really is so encouraging for me because, as a content creator, you pour your heart and soul into it. And so when people appreciate what you've brought and they value it and they let you know, it's just amazing.
It truly is. It's one of those things I'm like, I don't think there's another job on earth that we get so much appreciation for. And I think it's just having like really amazing students. But I was like, wow, talk about feeling fulfilled.
I know.
It's really, really rewarding. I think it's such a rewarding, like emotionally rewarding job, knowing that, us just sharing our native language and trying to explain it in a way that people hopefully connect with, that it's really helping them in some way. Yeah. I love that. And so we've already talked about your books, and I heard you say you have courses. Where can people find more information about all of the things that you offer?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram as Camille Hansen. I'm on YouTube as Learn English with Camille, and that's my website as well, learnenglishwithcamille.com. So they can find all of my courses and books and free content and things like that there. Awesome. And then Amazon. Yeah, of course, Amazon.
Amazon. Well. Okay. Oh, I love this. So great talking with you, Camille. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Espero que vocês tenham gostado dessa entrevista 100% em inglês. Não esquecem de entrar no meu grupo de Telegram, onde eu vou deixar um PDF com as perguntas e mais algumas explicações que surgiram durante essa conversa. E vocês podem também seguir a Camille, ela é muito legal, muito boa, ela tem conteúdo incrível. Eu vou deixar todos os links dela na descrição desse vídeo também. E lembre-se, qualquer dúvida, ask Jackie. Bye bye!